Welcome to Mondays with Maxwell. My name is Mark Cole. I'm the president and CEO of the John Maxwell Leadership Enterprise. I believe every one of you watching this right now is just like John. You welcome Mondays because you look forward to starting your week off looking for ways to value people. And since today is Monday, my friends, let's hear from the man of the hour. He is our leader, our friend, John C. Maxwell.
Welcome to Monday with Maxwell. I'm so glad you're with me as we continue our Best Advice series. Best advice that I receive from others that I pass on to you. Best advice that I've received from myself. Sometimes my best advice to you. We're getting a terrific response from people as I travel now. With COVID lessening up, I'm kind of getting out, and people are saying, boy, John, I listen every Monday to you, and I'm glad you're with me, and I hope you bring friends and some of your team together, because what we're really doing is we're just trying to help you improve your life. If we can help you improve your life, everything gets better when you and I get better. That's a fact. Now, Andrew in our studio, he has best advice for us as he does every week. I mean, could we really start a best advice lesson without Andrew? And what Andrew gave me today was, he said, my good friend once gave me this great advice. He said, you should never name drop for no reason. It makes you seem conceited and insecure. And of course, that friend was Nelson Mandela. Andrew, I wish we had soundtracks on this so we could hear the people as they laugh when they hear each one of your best advice. But trust me, my best advice for you today is that you can develop charisma. And the reason that I say that is because I think most people enjoy people that are fun and charismatic. But I think most people separate themselves and say, well, that's just not me, and I could never be that person. And I start the lesson off with the best advice of the fact that you can develop charisma by the fact that if you can develop charisma, it's not a personality, it's a choice. Now, let's just start off being fair. There are some people who have literally had, I think, a charisma bypass, okay? Yeah, there are some people I just look at and I say, oh my gosh, do they have any potential of having any joy, fun, magnetism in their life? But I'm going to share with you that my friend Dan Ryland, who I've been friends with, my gosh, since 1981, I can still remember when I was in San Diego as a pastor at Skyline, and Dan was the first one that challenged me on the subject of charisma. Dan was the first one that came to me and said, you know what, John? He said, I think that a person can develop charisma in their life. And then I read a book, and I'm going to give you this book. I would suggest that you read it. It's called The Charisma Myth. It's by Olivia Fox Cabane. And Olivia said, the subtitle of The Charisma Myth is How Anyone Can Master the Art and Science of Personal Magnetism. And it's a good book. It's a solid book. And as I look at charisma and as I think about how helping people develop it, today on our best advice lesson, I want to give you 3 words. And if you could just remember these 3 words and practice these 3 words, I will promise you, you'll begin to have some charisma in your life. You'll be attractive to people. People will want to be around you. And the 3 words are presence, confidence, and warmth. Now, those 3 words, presence, confidence, and warmth, I'm going to now flesh out for you. Number 1, charismatic people are entirely present. So when they're with you, they're with you. You see, they give me this feeling, when they're with you, they give you this feeling that you are their entire world. And when they're with you, it's all about you. And they just have the ability to be present and to focus on you until you kind of look at them and say, wow, what I'm saying is really important to them. What I'm doing is really important to them. I'll never forget the first time I was invited by President Bill Clinton to the White House. And he'd been president for a couple years, and I had the invitation to come up and spend some time with him. He was literally that day doing his Saturday radio show to America, and then he said, let's spend some time together, and it was an incredible time. But it was that day that I just understood the magnitude of his charismatic personality. And when we would talk, I mean, he would lean into me, and there was nobody coming into the Oval Office. Nobody was interfering. I mean, he would talk to me, and he would lean in, and he would ask questions. And I remember he had a glass of water, not a bottle of water, but he had a glass of water. And I can still remember him listening to me, and he wanted to get a drink. And so he's drinking the water, and as he's drinking the water, and that glass goes up, I can see through the glass. His eyes are still on me while he's drinking the water. I mean, he was so incredibly present that I was blown away by the fact that he was there. He wasn't somewhere else. He was all mine. And the way he did it, it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, the president really, really needs me. And the question I have for you when we talk about the fact that charismatic people have a presence about them, they're present in the room. The question I ask you is that which person are you? When you walk into the room, are you basically walking in with a walk and an air or a statement that says, here I am? Or when you walk in the room, do you walk in the room and say, oh my gosh, there you are? You see, there's a lot of difference between those two attitudes when you walk into the room. I love history, and I read an interesting story about William Gladstone and Benjamin Disraeli. Those are two, probably Gladstone, Disraeli, and Winston Churchill, perhaps are the three best-known prime ministers in British history. And Gladstone and Disraeli were contemporaries. In other words, they were prime ministers back to back. They were both living during the same era. And true story, a lady literally one night had a dinner with William Gladstone, and the next night she happened to be at the table of Benjamin Disraeli. And somebody asked them, they said, give me the difference between Gladstone and Disraeli. And she said, what she said was, she said, when I was with Mr. Gladstone, she said, I thought to myself at the end of the dinner, he's the cleverest man in England. She said, when I finished dinner with Disraeli, I sat at the table and I thought to myself, I am the cleverest woman in England. And I love that story because it talks, that's the total difference between people that have charisma and others. And I put in my notes because, in fact, I'm going to do a lesson on this sometime because I think it's so true. Our interest in others is irresistible. When I show you that I have interest in you, there is something that makes me irresistible to you because it's all about you. And so sometimes when we're at the table, I am fanatical about not losing good thoughts or ideas or quotes. And so at the table, I have my iPhone. But when somebody says something good and I immediately pick up my iPhone, I tell them immediately, I say to them, now, look, I'm not texting someone else. I'm taking notes on what you're saying to me. You're saying things that I need to remember. So is it okay if I just write down a few things that will help me remember our conversation? Well, of course it is. Well, now what am I doing? I'm showing great interest in that person. And when you are showing interest in others, you truly become irresistible. In fact, I saw a quote one time, and I think it's so true. If you want to be interesting, be interested. And I think that's very true. I think interested people in others become interesting people to others. And so charismatic people, they are entirely present. When they're with you, you are the center of you're not a byproduct. You're not one of, I've been with people before and they're picking up their phone and sometimes they even get into a conversation on phone and sometimes I want to say, I think to get your attention, what I'd like to, I know we're at the same table, I think I'd like to call you. I think if I could just call you, maybe I could get, you mind if I just text you? We can kind of go that route for just a little bit. The second thing that is true about charismatic people is that they project confidence. There's not a cockiness, not at all. I'm not talking about arrogance, aloofness, cockiness. I'm talking about confidence. They're comfortable in their skin, and they're comfortable with you, and they're very comfortable with life, and they pretty much feel that whatever comes their way, they can handle it. In our John Maxwell team, I talk often about the fact that I'm very proud of teaching our people in their DNA that we are people of value who value people and add value to them. And the other day I was thinking about that statement, and I kind of broke it down because we're talking about projecting confidence. When I teach my coaches on the John Maxwell team, we are people of value. What I'm doing is I'm instilling confidence in them. I'm helping our people to feel confident about who they are. I am a person of value. And then when I talk about the fact that we are people of value, what do we do? Who value other people? Well, if I feel I'm a person of value, I have confidence in myself. But then if I look at you and I say I value you, guess what? I have confidence in you. I have confidence in me. I have confidence in you. And then what do? We are people of value who value people and add value to them. Now, all of a sudden, I'm confident not only in me, and not only am I confident in you, but I'm confident in my service to you. I'm confident that I can add value to you. Now, when you put that all together, you have a very charismatic person. You have a person that knows who they are and is willing to value and give and share and add to other people's life. I'm going to read this because I think it's so important. I like Henry Ward Beecher's observation, and this is the observation. Henry Ward Beecher said, "There are persons as radiant, as genial, so kind, so pleasure-bearing, that you instinctively feel good in their presence, and so feel so good in their presence that they do you good. Who's coming into a room," I love this phrase, "is like coming into a room and bringing a lamp with them." I thought to myself, you want to have the confidence that when you come into the room, you turn on the light. You want to have a confidence that when you go into an area that is dark, you bring the lamp with you. You see, when I think of what we've gone through in the last year and a half with COVID, I mean, we have two choices. We can either curse the darknesses, and a lot of people curse the darkness, or we can just turn on the light. And people with charisma, what do? They turn on the light. And why do they do that? It's very simple. They turn on the light because they have confidence. And what they have confidence in is that no matter how dark it is, it'll get brighter. No matter how seemingly helpless they feel, there's help on the way. And I just love the turn on the light analogy. I just when you walk into the room, turn the light on for people and have the confidence to say, hey, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I wrote here in my notes before I give you to the third part about charisma. Confidence is a result of believing the best about people. It's the result of adding value to them every day. Confidence is the result of knowing that there's always an answer, and confidence is a result of being comfortable in your own skin. And when we believe the best in people, when we add value to them on a continual basis, and we know that there's always a way, there's always an answer, and we're comfortable with who we are in our own skin, then there's something very magnetic, attractive, and charismatic about that kind of a person. So let's review. Charismatic people are entirely present. Charismatic people project confidence. And number 3, charismatic people create a feeling of warmth. And when I speak of warmth in this context, I'm talking about, I think warmth creates a connection. I think when people are warm, you feel close to them. You may not be sure why, but you get the feeling when you're with them that they care for you. You may not be able to pinpoint what they did or what they said, But you just say, you know what, they're interested in me. They value me. And by the way, I think we can always tell when people value us, and I think we can always tell when people don't value us. Goes back to the statement I've said for, 40 years now? 45? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's the quote. So many of her quotes, Maya Angelou, so many of her quotes were powerful, but it's her quote that people will not always remember what you said and people will not always remember what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That's what I'm talking about. And when you feel good about yourself and when you feel good about people, you transfer that warmth, that confidence feeling to other people. And it's a fact. When you're around them, you want to stay around them. So today on our best advice, as we've talked about it on our Monday with Maxwell, we're talking about the fact that you can develop charisma. And here is my suggestion. Go to the 3 words that I gave you: presence, confidence, and warmth. And evaluate yourself from a 1 to a 5, 5 being great, 1 not being so great. How present are you with people? Now, by the way, that's a choice. We can become good listeners. We just have to make the choice to become good leaders. How present are you? And how confident are you? How confident are you in yourself? How confident are you in others? And this one's probably the hardest of all, because a lot of times we just lack self-confidence, and it shows. It shows. And what I would suggest to you is this: to show confidence in others, believe the best in others. If you'll just express the belief of the best in others, it will begin to appeal to people and it'll draw them to you. And then more. Just care, be kind, be nice, be grateful, be expressive in your gratitude to other people. Be sure to, every time you're with them, to let them know that you care for them. When I'm with my real precious dear friends, I never let the time go by without me stopping and saying, now you have to know, remember, I love you a lot. Always express that warmth and that care. If you can do those 3 things, have presence and be present with them, have a sense of encouragement and confidence to them, and a warmth that just absolutely draws them to you, you will develop charisma. Trust me, you really will. Let me talk to you about our John Maxwell team. One of my great privileges as the founder of the John Maxwell team, our coaching organization, is watching our people develop and grow. Literally watching them come into our organization knowing that they want to make a difference, but most of the time not knowing how to make a difference. And then watching as we train them and equip them and come alongside of them and provide an environment that is conducive for their growth, watching them grow. One of the comments we receive when people come to Orlando, and the people come to Orlando mostly are new coaches. They're coming to be taught, indoctrinated into our culture and our process. And one of the things that I just love hearing our people talk about when they come is the fact that when they arrive, when they get there, they feel so aligned with the people in the room. It's almost like, I have found the people that I'm looking for. It's almost like, wow, I'm home. And I think that could perhaps be you. You know that there is a better version of yourself than what you're able to develop right now. You know that there's potential in you that hasn't yet quite been tapped. To be honest with you, you need to come home. You need to come home to the John Maxwell team. Let us give you that environment that's conducive for your growth, and let us introduce you to people that will be lifelong, life-changing friends, and let us put tools, resources, faculty members, mentors into your life that'll take you to a level that you will not get on your own. Now, if what I just said resonates with you, go to mondayswithmaxwell.com. There are people there ready to serve you, ready to answer your questions, ready to kind of take you by the hand and lead you step by step to really becoming the person that I think God created you to become. I love the John Maxwell team because I believe we, better than almost anyone else, help people reach their potential. If you want to reach your potential, go to mondayswithmaxwell.com right now. We're ready to help. We're ready to come alongside of you and take you through the journey. Trust me, 1 year from now, you'll be so glad you made that decision. Mondayswithmaxwell.com. Go to it now. My name is John. I'm your friend.
I hope you've enjoyed today's Monday with Maxwell lessons. What's some good advice or some unadvice you've received? Let us know in the comments. Thank you again for watching today. We'll see you next week for another episode of Mondays with Maxwell.